Welcome to the Tick Tock Podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey friends, did anyone notice the title of today's episode? You may not even care or not even bother looking. You're like, new episode dropped, hit play. Or you might be a podcast nerd. I guess maybe I'm self-described podcast nerd now. And there's things like SEO, the search engine optimization, and it has to do with the show title, and it's how your show is more visible and searchable. It's a whole thing. But anyways, it's not really about the nerd part, or it's not really about if you noticed it or not. But I thought I'd just draw attention to it because it came to me. Well, I'll tell you when it came to me in just a second. But it is called the one where the time management coach took her own advice. Yeah. So a little nod if you are a Friends fan, the show, the TV show. And, we've had a Friends phrase on here before, pivot, of course, we all know that one. But yeah, this is the one where the time management coach took her own advice. So you may know that I do try to teach from experience. And even though I try to teach from experience and not theory, that's definitely also a big component, a key piece of what I want to do here on this podcast. So that in that vein, even though I try to teach from experience, that doesn't always mean that I actually take my own advice. And I'm not saying it's the do as I say, not as I do, because I really do feel genuinely that I share with you things that have helped me establish good time habits that have really helped stay the course of time, literally for me, so that I can have some pretty great harmony. I know a word that many people don't like, but it's fine. I'm just going to say it. Some good balance overall in all these decades of my life. So it's not that I'm telling you to do things that I don't believe in or that I'm not doing. That's not it. I think it's more that I want to give, give, give. Like I just want to keep giving you and giving you and giving you, especially in this arena and with this platform. And what I realized was it was going to be pretty healthy for me and pretty important, pretty mission critical for me to pause myself and take a look at what I would coach my own clients and my own kids and my own close friends. And really, I guess at the end of the day, coaching myself. So, this is the one where I realize and acknowledge some self imposed limitations and priorities. So, don't freak out. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. I'm just giving you a little peek behind the curtain and a little insight as to where my head is. And I feel like if my head is there, chances are your head might be there too. So, in some ways, I'm also thinking of this in the light of a conversation that I had in episode 55. See, we don't edit the show. 55 with Linda Seidler. And we were talking about somewhat organically the big P and the little p, or the big P's and the little p's. The big priority, kind of the overarching, never changing, probably pretty small in quantity priorities that you have. I've described it in the past as the things that you cradle, right? You only have so much room. And then there's the little p's. These are important. These are priorities, but they're somewhat fleeting. They're not always permanent. They're sort of more circumstantial or in the moment too. So I was processing that. I don't know if anybody else caught that episode and started to think, there are big P's and little P's. And I think I actually want to do a whole episode on that coming up. So there was that component. There was the journal that I've talked about, and I'm going to keep putting some teases out there. So mean, but it's going to be worth it. Some teases about the journal. This journal that I've loved for years and years that they don't make anymore. And I'm on my last one. I'm for crying out loud. I had to do something about it. But I still have some pages left. And in the journal, I write my 3 intentions for the week. Well, as I'm recording this, I'm on the last week that my kids have school. I'm gonna have a rising 8th and 10th grader. Holy cow. And so we are fully embracing the summer. Now, because I've worked from home ever since before they were born, when the kids were little, I made sure that I had morning childcare pretty much every day in the summer. So, morning childcare so that they still had activities and fun and things, and so that I could work. Because just in my world, I'm not a stay-at-home mom, I am a work from home mom, and that needed to still happen even though the beautiful summer days were here. Well, now that they're teenagers, 13 and 15, it is a totally different story. I really don't need that much morning childcare because it's called sleeping in for them. I can get a lot done before they even wake up for the day, especially my son. It's funny, he was always a really, really, really early bird. And now that he's a teenager, that flip just switches. So, anyways, all that being said, we've got this big P, little p thing happening in my mind. We've got my journal where I have my 3 intentions, and I'm realizing that this new season is about to embark this summer season for us and what that means. And as an aside with this, and maybe this is just how I'm feeling at their ages, I've got friends who have graduating seniors from high school and all the feels. And I just want to say, I have never been, I don't know, unpopular opinion maybe, I've never been a fan of the analogy of those marbles where you have the 2 big glass jars, like youth pastors do it all the time. You have these 2 big glass jars, and one has how many marbles, like how many weeks or months or something that you have with your kids, and you're like transferring one to the other to see how time is fleeting. I hate that. I don't know, that just depresses me. I do not like that at all. Or the people that count how many summers you have with your kids. I'm like, so once my kids are 18, I don't ever have a summer with them. I mean, come on, right? I would prefer to not have that pressure and that stress too, and kind of that clock ticking in that way. Okay, so you're like, what in the world are you saying, Callie? Just say it. Have you ever sat with a friend? You're like, you're burying the lead. Okay, again, it's not bad at all. But here's the deal, the one where the time management coach took her own advice and she has decided that over the summer, we're just going to be releasing 1 episode a week. Yeah. So, right now, if you have listened to our past 60 episodes since November of 2023, you will know that I usually release 2 episodes a week, a Tuesday episode, which is a solo episode, and a Friday episode, which is a bonus episode, which is a guest episode. And it was called a Friday bonus because I didn't necessarily expect to even know enough people to have a guest every Friday, but I sure have. And I still have lists of people and more people that I am interviewing, and it's been incredible. So, what I decided though over the summer, based on some of these things, was that I'm going to alternate. So it'll still be released on Tuesdays. I'm going to alternate my own solo podcast and my guest podcast that I'm crazy about. So all we're doing is going from 2 episodes a week over the summer to 1 episode a week. So let me give you a little background on how I came up with this in case this serves you. So why am I taking a whole episode just to tell you this? Because this is also practical training. This might be something that you would want to consider in some area. Okay, so the first thing was we have just finished a little series on triggers. We've had negative and positive triggers. The day that I'm recording this episode, I had a negative trigger. And it's going to sound so bad. Please do not judge me. So, this is a Tuesday that I'm recording it, and it is the last Tuesday before my kids get out. They have a half day on Thursday, and then summer hits on Friday. So, this is the last Tuesday that I actually had nothing on my schedule that was planned. No Zooms, no interviews, nothing, absolutely nothing. So, it was a day where I could catch up on some things. I could do some work on my porch and all the things that I love to do. Maybe no makeup, And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that, yeah, very little of that happened. There's a hat on, so 2 negative triggers happened for me. Well, 3. The first one was an epic storm rolled in. So I kind of have my routine in the morning. I get up, I get the kids off, and then I head out for about an hour for a walk and a run. And that's where I work and listen to audiobooks and podcasts and you name it. Well, it was storming so hard. I mean, I'm not afraid of little rain, but this was not something that you go out in. So, bam, that first happened. The second thing is the night before, last night, my son wasn't feeling good. They have already finished finals. They're really kind of just doing some last minute stuff at school. It's not that big of a deal. And he's got a important day on Thursday. So we just said, why don't you just stay home? So he's staying home. And that's fine because he's pretty much going to just be in his room all day. And then because of that and some other things that he needed to do, my husband decided that he was going to stay home today and work from home. Now, before you get on me about that. For many years, my husband worked from home and I worked from home, and I absolutely loved it. I really did. It worked so well for us. It was awesome. This was before we had kids. And then as we had kids, he still worked from home and it was fantastic. And I do love that. And I love him and he's my best friend. But it's not what I wanted for today. I had this whole idea in my mind of what my day was going to look like. Bam, bam, bam. So bad weather, can't start my day the way I want to. One kid staying home from school, sick, and a husband working from home. So I needed a positive trigger. Anybody? Okay, we just had an episode on that. So instead of really getting upset, I did my surrender prayer. That really helps me. I went across the street and did my workout. And by that time, the sun had come out. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pivot my schedule a little bit and head out for my walk and run there. So while I was doing that, I started to get in a good headspace. And I started to really analyze, have a little audit, think about what I wanted this summer to look like because I'd already had the priority conversation. I'd already had the intentions conversation. And so I decided that, you know what, I'm going to do what I have told our audience to do. And that is a late spring cleaning. I mean, it's still officially spring. So late spring cleaning. Let me take everything off of my calendar for the summer and then put in the things that for sure that we're going to do. And in realizing that, I'm going to be gone 3 weeks in a row. And then in July, we've got a whole house full of company coming, which I cannot wait for. And then we're either going to the finals in Virginia for my son's all-star team, or my kids are going to this musical theater camp that we absolutely love. And I realized, okay, as I'm putting everything back in, what capacity do I have right now? And what do I really want for this summer? I was also talking to a future guest on the phone, lining her up the other day and realizing that she was challenging me to simplify. She's actually a nutritionist. You're going to love her. And we were really just talking about that. That was one other little nod in the way. And then an offhanded comment by another future guest. Oh, you're going to love her too. Her name is Jenna from the Habit Lab. You may already know her. And we were talking about the hustle. And she happened to mention that she started a podcast at the same time that I did. And she has half the episodes that I had. And she's like, now I'm feeling some kind of way. And, we started talking about imposter syndrome and all of this. And I realized that she has definitely established a great healthy habit in her podcast. And she has done half the episodes. So it kind of gave me permission in a way. Does that make sense? So, what does this all mean? Why am I telling you this? Well, I've already shared it, hopefully, so you can have a little background and insight. Plus, we're doing this together. So, I'm still getting to do what I love doing and also doing it in a way that is best in this season. So, if you remember, we've said multiple times and in multiple ways that saying yes to something is also saying no to something else. And that is in no way to make anybody feel guilty or bad. It just is what it is. So here are some yeses. Because we're going on this summer schedule, here are some yeses. This gives you an opportunity to catch up on some missed episodes or even re-listen to one. My mom was cute the other day. She said, I didn't think I needed that particular episode. She goes, I listened anyways, but I didn't think I did. She said, literally later that day, I had a conversation and opportunity that made me realize how much I needed it. She goes, so I'm going back to listen to it with different ears. Number 2, it may give you an opportunity to share an episode with a friend and maybe even have a discussion or keep each other accountable over the summer. So maybe you go to coffee, you pick an episode, kind of like a book club, but a podcast club, and you decide what that's going to look like for the two of you. Number 3, maybe this is an opportunity for you to put something into practice. Maybe it's just been a little bit of like drinking from a fire hose. So many ideas, so many different topics. And like now you're able to just narrow it down. Maybe number 4, this is an opportunity for you to engage and connect more with one of our guests. Maybe you have a favorite guest and you just want to get to know her a little bit more. And so you take the time after listening to the podcast to go research her, follow her on social, etc. Where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. An opportunity to connect more in our Facebook group. I would love for our Facebook group to just become more and more and more vibrant this summer. Maybe there's some peers that you can share ideas with or have encouragement with, or maybe you're like, I'm just going to start posting some funny memes that I like in there because who doesn't like humor? And number 6, an opportunity to discover what schedule serves you the best. What routine serves you the best? What idea and what opportunity that this gives you, in other words, to have permission. So I hope that this is giving you permission to do some of the things or not do some of the things that you've been thinking about. Some yeses, some nos, and some pivots. So I also just want to close by saying that I feel like freeing this summer up a little bit for me is also going to allow me to do the favorite thing that I did last summer on a trial basis. If you know me for about the last year and a half, I've been just taking a next step in my and era, a next step. And last summer on a trial basis, I did some coaching. Oh my goodness, I absolutely loved it. With a social media manager, an author, a real estate agent, a creator, a small business owner, and I loved every second of it. So I will say that if you are listening and this is something that you're interested in, please reach out. You can DM me, you can contact me through my website that's in the show notes. I'm on social. You guys know where to find me. I'm taking on 2 new clients. So I feel like saying no to double podcasts this summer is saying yes to potentially connecting and coaching with someone, which I absolutely love the idea of. Okay, so I'll leave you with this final thought. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. So as we embark on this summer of self-discovery or simplification, let's remember we're going to find joy in every moment, whether it is crossing off tasks on our to-do list, which I thoroughly love doing. There's going to be plenty of to-do lists in our family this summer, not because we're task-oriented all the way, but because we like the feeling of crossing those things off. Or maybe you're just soaking up some sunshine, right? I'm going to soak up the sun. There we go. So I just wanted to share this with you so you knew, okay, when we're going to our summer schedule, this is why. And maybe it's time for you to go on your summer schedule too. Permission granted, right? That's what this is all about. Hopefully leading by example and also telling you sometimes I just needed to have a little check in my spirit too and a check in my heart and to empower all of us to be able to do that. So I want you to stay intentional. I want you to stay prioritized. I want you to stay fabulous, of course, as well. So thanks for giving me the grace and knowing that, again, we are in this together. And I cannot wait to see what happens this summer. So thanks for listening. This is the one where the time management coach took her own advice. God bless you. Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.